UTM Coach B here, checking in with y'all as I always like to do in the Honeycomb Hideout. Listen, I always start out by saying I'm super appreciative of all the support. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep showing love to the page everywhere, all social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. We got the new Instagram / Twitter now jumping off. We on that. We just trying to make our rounds. We trying to influence as many people as we can influence. And I know I come at y'all from a different twist every episode. This one is going to be a lot different. And you can tell by my demeanor, you can tell by how I'm looking right now that this is a very studious interview. And I'm going to make sure that y'all going to get something out of this because I plan on getting something out of this. Because the guest I got with me today is somebody that I hold very close to my heart, somebody that's very tapped in on a lot of the things that I think are necessary for us, meaning is African American men, meaning is the minority group. I think that we definitely, including myself, I'm talking to myself, that we need to be tapped in on from as a whole. So this guest that I got with me today, man, I tapped in with him. You know, we've been locked in since 2015, really 2014, and I just been watching his growth. Make sure y'all get his Instagram. Make sure y'all hear his Instagram. Y'all follow him. Y'all follow everything he's got going on. But with that being said, man, I got somebody with me that is from the state of Virginia. He's Virginia born and bred. He's currently sitting as a chief of staff for the Virginia State Senate, Democratic Party. He's the former chief of staff for the delegate Angelia Williams. He is now the current chief of staff of pro tempore Louise Lucas in Virginia. He was a campaign manager. He's high on politics right now. He's second in the political party now for VA on the Democratic side. And oh, by the way, he's an HBCU graduate, West Virginia State University, stand up, and he's a proud member of the oldest and coldest fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Fall 15, he was the one, he was the only, the sole ace on my dog, William, a.k.a. Bujo Smith. Was popping,
Hey,
cuz.
hey,
Was
ADP,
popping,
I
bro.
appreciate you, man. You don't understand how that just felt, man. Like, look, hey, I felt like it was the first day out and you was introducing me to bros in Ohio. Look, that's
Hey
how it
man,
felt, man.
hey yo, listen, bro. It's nothing less expected for you, man. It's nothing less expected. You know me. I've been super proud of you and everything that you've been doing ever since I first met you in state, man. Ever since I first met you. But we're gonna jump right into it. I know you got a lot of gems that you about to drop tonight. I just really got one question. This question was being sent to me when I posted the flyer about you, and I think the world just wants to know off the rip to jump this joint off. Where the hell did Bujo come from?
Hey, man, look, it's crazy, right? Because when y'all hear this answer, I hope I'm not too loud. When y'all hear this answer, man, y'all gonna be like, what? So look, when I was being born, right? My mom, I was 8 pounds. I was 8 pound baby. My mom was walking around and all that, and she really couldn't figure out what she wanted to name me. She couldn't figure out she wanted to name me after my granddad, my pop, so whatever, right? So my aunt saw her walking around and she was hanging low. And for the women that's watching this, you know what that means when you're hanging low. She's hanging
Mm.
low, and my aunt said,
Speak up too, bro.
"Something."
They gotta hear you.
My aunt said, "Hey, something that big needs a name."
Mm.
And then next thing you know, she just said Bujo. And from that day forward, everybody was like Bujo, 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 Bujo. So initially, honestly, I was embarrassed of it. So like you say, EDP, I'm from Virginia, born and raised in 7-5, born and raised in Suffolk. I graduated from Granby and Norfolk, all that stuff. So, down back home in Suffolk, people didn't really know me as Bujo if you want family. It was
Mm.
Will. It was Will. What's up, Will? What's up, Will? What's up, Will? When I got to Norfolk, Bujo took off again because my family in Norfolk was like, either way, I'm gonna call you Bujo. And for me, it's something I really embraced at that point because you at that point where you out of elementary school, you feel like you're getting picked on. You out of middle school, like you in high school, you becoming yourself. You know what I'm saying? That first
Right.
initial mode of yourself.
Right.
So at that point, I took and embraced it. And my junior year, when we was 9-1, there was an article in the newspaper because out there in Norfolk, everybody got a nickname. In the 7-5, everybody got a nickname. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was a running back over there at Lake Taylor named Chop. They tried to figure out why he was called that. My linebacker Caleb was called Honey Badger. It was like, why did they call him that? And then it was like Bujo. Don't know the origin of that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like it was always something. So yeah, it was like really
that's
just a
tough.
family thing that turned into like a national thing. Like when I was in school, In high school, even to this day when I see people in high school, my principal called me Bujo. ESPN called me Bujo. Scouts called me Bujo. Like it
Mm,
was never hearing the name William. It still to this day really don't exist. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Outside of work, I never hear William. My mama called me
yeah,
Bujo. My pops called me Bujo. My old teachers call me Bujo. And people I just see, people, that know me out here be like, what's up, Bujo? So and it transferred back to Suffolk. When I started going back home, people started calling me Bujo, and I was like, man, you ain't know me as that. Call me Will. And they was like,
yeah,
nah, bro, fuck that. What's up,
yeah.
Bujo? I'm like, whatever. So
It's cool you can separate it too, because that's like me with like Benny and like my real name.
yeah,
Like I keep that for the the handshakes, the business side. But everybody, like 90% of the people will call me Benny. Nobody's gonna call me by my government name. So I feel you, but I just wanted to know because like I think it was one of the things I just met you and you said Bujo and I just ran with it, and like I
you
call you. Go ahead.
you know the funny part.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this moment, man. Hey, Georgia, shout out to Georgia. Hey, Georgia also wanted me to tell you. He said, when you see Benny, tell him that
My
Ronnie locked
dog.
him up.
All right, yo, there you go, man. Yo,
He said, tell him.
that y'all whole squad. Shout out to D Ware. Shout out to my dog Georgie. Like
Yeah.
y'all was always like this, and I always like made sure like y'all showed me hella love from the beginning. I remember when you
You
first
know
got
the
to
fun.
state, you
You
came in and was tagging me, and like I'm like, come on, bro. Like we doing this.
yeah.
We doing this early, bro. Off
Hey,
the
now
rip.
remember? You remember our first interaction?
I mean, I kind of do, but a little bit. I like
You
remember all the times you tagged me on
ain't no
Instagram.
way. No, no, not that one, not that one. I'm talking about when you met me. My first day, when I met you at State,
Okay.
it was summer camp.
Yeah.
And you know why you was looking for me. You was like, yo, I need to see Bujo. When you see him, I need to see Bujo. Whoever this is, I need to see him.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the IG tags. It was because me, D Ware, and West was doing Savage Team
That's
all across
facts.
campus. And you was like, hey, yo, look, let me talk to y'all. You
Yeah.
brought us to the side. I was like, look, I know y'all got y'all crew. Me, Spilly, all us
No.
had our crew. But this
Nah,
is
I was
Alpha Phi
checking.
Alpha. I was like,
Yo.
word.
Hey, but listen, bro. Y'all always came with the utmost respect. Always,
Yeah,
just
for sure.
from the rip, and the fact that y'all was still cool. Like I said, shout out to D-Red, shout out to my man G. Like, shout out to damn, I can't even think of his name. He the cat, but the one that do the videos.
Noah.
Um, yeah, Noah. Shout out to Noah. Like all y'all, man. Like y'all was solid. Like all the like, and even though y'all all went different ways when it came to D9, y'all stayed close, and that's love. But yeah, I just want to. I really want to jump into this now. I know we got Bujo out the way. Now I
Mhm.
want to kind of highlight Will because I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I really tapped in. I really wanted to tap in with you, really, because I'm like I told you in the intro, I'm the minority. I don't understand a lot of things that you got going on. And again, for the
Mhm.
people, you are currently, as it sits right now, the chief of staff of the pro tempore of Louise Lucas in Virginia, Democratic Party. Um, but there's so many questions that I have for you, bro. And I started thinking about this because I actually watched a podcast just recently with Stephen A. Smith and Chris Cuomo. If y'all don't know who Chris Cuomo is, he's the brother of Andrew Cuomo, who was the former governor of New York.
Right.
And they was talking about a whole lot of stuff. And they was talking about, the Trump situation and things going on with him. They was talking about, reform. They was talking about, the things between the right and the left. And I'm just writing stuff down because there's a lot of stuff I don't understand, bro. And I need you to help me, to help the people that's gonna watch this, to clarify, what all that means. But I guess the first question I'm gonna throw at you is that what got you into politics? What brought you to this space to say, all right, this is my call, and I'm gonna jump into this political space and do this political thing? What charged all that?
Man, to be honest with you, my family always told me I needed a major. Like you need a, and I'm gonna just be real. My family was like, "Look, you need a real major." You know what I'm saying? Like I really need you to do something. My brother went UVA. My sister went to George Mason. My sister got her master's at UVA. My brother got his master's at UNC Chapel Hill. You know what I'm saying? So academic, success is a big thing in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, my brother, he knew I wanted to do something. Like I wanted to do Homeland, but I didn't know it was Homeland. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So my brother broke it down and he was like, well, look, look at political science. And when it came down to selecting a school for me, obviously it had to have political science. From the big offers like ODU and
Yeah.
stuff like that, from the Temple situation.
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to West Virginia State, anyone else, it didn't matter. As long as they had that political science, my family wanted to make sure I got a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, I didn't know exactly what it was. I decided to do political science because it was a broad major, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
not public policy, not public administration. I wanted something broad as my initial degree. I decided like, okay, I'm gonna do political science, so it's politics. I want to be like a delegate or something.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got hurt in 15 and left state and went to Virginia State, wound up finishing my degree,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I could have kept playing football. All the schools wanted to still talk to me. I had to release. I just couldn't go within conference. You know how
Yeah,
that
this
go.
is before
So
the portal, right?
just before the
Yeah,
portal.
right.
So, the coach gave me my release. Like I said, I couldn't go within the
Mm-hmm.
conference. So my mom said, "What do you want to do? You can keep playing if you want to." And coaches rolled in. So I think I went to like CNU for a visit or something like that, a D3 school, and then I ended up deciding to go to Virginia State. I applied to state. I got in. My roommates at the time were football players, so I fit right in when I
Mm-hmm.
transferred there. And they would tell me, come play football, come play football. But I knew for me, some of my friends, and I mean this in the most respectful way, you'll understand this as an athlete. Like some of my friends needed football, right? I didn't need it, in my personal opinion. And I mean that in essence of like, you know what I'm saying? Like I really actually know what I want to do. I got a direction of what I want to do. They know what they felt like they needed to do was keep playing football to get to the next level, right?
Right,
To that ultimate level. For
right.
me, I knew that this hamstring's messed up. What is your next ultimate level?
Mm-hmm.
And my ultimate level was politics. So I decided not to play football, and I went ahead and I got an internship for the Hillary Clinton campaign. I already knew, what kind of values we were coming up as a family. My mom would take me with her to go vote. So I wanted to be a delegate. Then I realized in Virginia, delegates only make like 13, 14,000 a year. So like, how you gonna take care of yourself like that? Because
Right.
Virginia's a part-time legislator. So obviously you don't make as much. So I said, okay, what do you want to do? And I, went with a guy, a former mentor of mine. He pulled me on Hillary's campaign. He taught me about what was going on, how it works, how the campaign works, what these people do, what these people do. I received a real foundation as an intern.
Mm-hmm.
And next I knew I wanted to be a chief of staff, but I really didn't know how to get there. And I asked him, how do you do that? And he said, well, that's when you get an internship in the General Assembly and, X, Y, and Z. He said, but, I've always taken the campaign route. I didn't want to go legislative. Well, I knew in
Right.
my heart I wanted to go legislative. So, at that point, I just kind of made my connections to go around to get to that next level. Um,
Gotcha.
and I feel like I'm dragging on your question, so I'm gonna hold up and I'm gonna hold up. Let you.
Nah, bro, you straight because that's what I wanted to get because I wanted my next question was literally going to be you now are the chief of staff. So like, first of all, that's wild that your income for that is that low. I mean, that's not
Man,
even real taxable income. I would assume, right? Like you can't.
well, when you're, when like I said, when you're a part-time legislator, that's all you get paid. You only
That's it.
legislate for part of the year. We
Gotcha.
have even our years depends on how long the session will be. So it can be
Yeah.
from January to February, or January to March, or
Oh,
in
I see
January.
what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Then after
Yeah,
that, you're not really legislating
you're
anymore.
not.
You're getting the updates to be ready to put in laws next year.
Gotcha. So it's
We
more of a like a temp job.
In a way, but we can call you to special session to like get
Okay.
things done, like enact the budget and all that. Like now, my
Okay.
boss is she's the president of the Senate here in Virginia. She's been here for 32 years. We just won re-election. It's
Okay.
the first. It's like the biggest race between state legislators in Hampton Roads history. Two black ones,
Mm.
and really from gerrymandering. Every 10 years we do the census and we redraw the lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, certain parties try to draw it to lean their way. You know,
Gotcha.
um, this in 20, I believe it was 2019, we voted here in Virginia for a redistricting committee of a nonpartisan organization or group of people to draw these lines for us.
Gotcha.
Instead of whoever's in charge of the House or the Senate drawing it, we try to do a nonpartisan way. And it just depends on how you look at the map if it was in your favor or not. But I know for us down here in Hampton Roads, it drew two long term 30-year state legislators against each other. We end up having to spend $2 million each to try to fight and duke this out.
Wow.
So,
That's tough. So then explain your role, like chief of staff. What exactly is like your day to day operation?
chief of staff is different. So I do wear two hats though. So
Okay.
I'm campaign manager and I'm chief of staff. right?
Okay.
I do my chief of staff work between the hours of 9 and 5 or whatever the office hours are. And whatever comes, whether it's constituent work, whether I need to go be with the senator, whether I need to be talking to a group, whether I need to
Mm.
be at a civic league meeting, it all depends. Day to day, I draft her talking points of what she says in press releases. We have a Twitter. She works her Twitter. So I have to give my senator respect that she does her own Twitter.
Right.
And now she has like over 90,000 followers. So make sure y'all check her out at Sin L Lucas or Sin Luis Lucas. I'm sorry.
Louise Lucas, yeah.
Uh huh. But yeah, that's my day to day, man. Pretty much whatever my boss really needs done. I do have a staff under me. I have 3 people under me.
Mm-hmm.
Each does different things. My right hand is like our what do they call her? Legislative office manager. But like if you ask me, she's really like my deputy chief of staff because she does everything. She's there all the time. She has my back. Like it's a dope. I have a dope um, atmosphere at work. It's
Mm.
really a home vibe, right? And we get so much done, man. I mean, every day, and it's a dope role because like you actually get to see your stuff enacted. So like
Right.
this past year, when we went to session from January to February, we passed like 4 or 5 big bills. We passed a bill to like try to raise Virginia's teacher pay to a national average. Virginia has some of the lowest paying salaries for teachers.
Mm.
She put in a bill to ask that Black World War II veterans who did not receive the GI Bill get recognized, and that the Virginia General Assembly recognized them as such, and basically apologized in a way for how it was. I mean, it's not really like apologizing. It's kind of in the resolution. It's just like recognizing it, should I say,
Okay.
that it was done. But unfortunately, that didn't pass. Um, Man, we did so much. She put in reading specialists in classes. She did last year. She did a K through 2 literacy program. This year we did 3 through 8, I believe. And it basically puts a reading specialist in classrooms because after COVID, a lot of students lost that ability to read. Having a reading specialist at school, a teacher close to them.
Right.
And the main thing for us was like we want to make sure everyone can read, right? Like reading is, if you can't read, you can't do math, you can't do social studies, you can't do history, you can't do science. Like
Mm.
reading is fundamental.
Very,
So
very
we
true.
put
Yeah.
we put millions, hundreds of $1,000s into the budget to be able to get a specialist in every classroom for kids from K through 8. You know what I'm saying? Like you get to see stuff like that happening, and it went in effect July 1st.
That's what's up.
Now, but I do want to say this though, that I have a difference in role. So when I was a chief of staff on a local level in Northern Virginia, right, it was so much, it was dope, bro. Because like, remember I said for the state legislator, we go to session January, February, March.
Yeah.
When you're on the local level, you're having a board meeting every week. So on Tuesday, if somebody really needed something, for example, like not only just resolutions, right? We could bring people in and recognize them. Like if we need to approve a project, like to put a stop sign into a neighborhood, that could get done ASAP. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like, and it may not be like that meeting. We have to go through planning and everything else. But like,
But you still
it's
meeting on a regular though.
right,
Yeah.
and it's actually dope to see what you approve happen right here in your
Right.
community.
Yeah.
That's what's dope for me. In the state legislature, you approve laws for the entire state. We don't just
Okay.
focus on Portsmouth and Chesapeake. Like
Gotcha.
we have our constituents bring in their concerns, we take in their concerns and put the legislation in. You know what I'm saying? But
Okay.
ultimately, it doesn't just affect Portsmouth and Chesapeake; it affects it as a whole,
That makes sense. That makes
right?
sense. And
Unless it's a permissive bill, then it can only a locality can agree to adopt it. So you live in Virginia Beach. I live in Suffolk. Virginia Beach can decide if they want to adopt that or not. You see what I'm
mm,
saying? And if they want to
gotcha.
adopt it, Suffolk don't have to if it's a permissive bill.
Okay. I mean, that's all. That's dope that y'all actually can you differentiate how the meetings go depending on, I guess, what level you're in, and how you go from this to that and make things happen for the state, not just for a certain county or area. But what I want to ask you too, bro, is like I said, I got a lot of questions for you. One of the questions is I think that's something that's literally like right in front of us that a lot of us don't know.
Mhm.
Listening to the podcast with Stephen A. and Cuomo and some other things, watching the news, there's a left and a right.
Right.
Um, there's a liberal and there's a conservative. Now, for me being blind, I don't really know too much about it. I hear about it, but for you being that you've been in this political space for how many years?
And since what? Since I grad? No, wow, since 2016.
2016. So it'll be 10 years, and you'll be 10 years in 3 years from now.
Right.
Um, define what a liberal and a conservative is. What is left and right? Because for me, like I hear the word conservative, I think of keeping things in house. I think of keeping things at the hip, not allowing a lot of other outsiding factors. Which the
Hmm.
general definition is believing the importance of stability and promoting law and order, protect private property.
Right.
Now, from a liberal standpoint, I think of sharing, I think of giving, I think of making sure everybody eats, and I think that definition, the general definition, is you know we believe in personal health that is dependent upon financial resources and providing opportunities. And then you hear about, well, the left did this and this is the right. So for you, bro, just generalize it for us. Like, what is the left and the right? What is the difference between a conservative and a liberal? And how do you know which one you are? So a three-part question.
Okay. So I think it's subjective in my personal opinion. I think everything in this field is kind of opinionated, right? So, when I think of conservative, I think Republicans, right? When I think of liberals, I think of Democrats, right? And do you have the because how do I break this down? Because like I think there's a key difference in like a Trump Republican and a Republican. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You have those far right extremist Republicans, right? That like believe Trump, in my personal opinion, believe Trump is God and all rule and everything about him is the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you got those far left Democrats, right? Where it's people like like you may consider Bernie people far left, like Democratic socialists, or I can't think.
What about Christie from Jersey? I mean, he's up in that area. Chris Christie's running. He's on that Republican side. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts about him? Because I've watched the Stephen A. pod, and Stephen A. was saying, like, of all the Republicans, Christie would be the one that I would like vote for because he's left, but he's not, or he's on the he's right, like you would say, but he's not all the way right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or I mean, generalize for me. Again, I don't know. I don't know if
right.
is he left. Is I know he's a Republican, but like Stephen A.
Hmm.
was like, well, of all the people, like I would vote for him. Like, is he considered not that Trump as far Republican as you talking about?
I mean, I personally don't think so. Like, I don't think he's a Trump Republican.
Gotcha.
But for him to say like, what he's really saying is he's more moderate, right? Like
Okay.
he's a conservative, but he has some liberal values. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like he may lead, he may go right, he may put in right legislation, but like there's some things on the left that I agree with, and I agree with
Mm-hmm.
his vote on. That's really what he's saying. But at the end of the day, he's still a conservative. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? Like it's like you pick sides. Now there are some people like I think recently a congressman flip parties and stuff like that. There are some people who do stuff like that, and that's I really can't. I really don't understand how that happens. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like how it's really like picking a side, in my opinion, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe in. Oh, my dog is about to knock the door. I firmly believe in like like how do I I'm trying to figure out the best way to give you like the straightest answer to it without giving you the runaround, right? For me, it's just like I believe in democratic values. So personally, as you know, I work for Democrats, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the democratic values here in giving people access to healthcare, right? Expand access to healthcare, which we did a few years ago. I believe in pushing to give teachers an increased rate, pay rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I believe in strong democratic values, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just Republican decisions that I just don't see fit. You know what I'm saying?
So
So
you're
it's
saying, so it's like not to control. So you're saying basically because you choose based off of your values, and it's kind of like, what do you see makes sense?
right,
Like, do you think that giving makes more sense than receiving? And there's nothing wrong with receiving.
right.
Like, I'm not saying at all. Like you probably. I mean, would you say that every Republican you met is a bad person?
No, absolutely not. I do have
Right.
a couple Republican friends that I met,
Right.
while in the General Assembly, because our
Gotcha.
office, we're in leadership, so our offices are next door to each other.
But you chose Democrat because you think the value system is better.
Yes, the values are
Okay.
better, and I feel like they help my people. You know what I'm saying? Like they help people who sometimes just need a little something. You know, like they
Mm-hmm.
don't just give. I feel like Republicans give up on people who really need it. You know, everybody needs some help somewhere. I'm sure along the line in life they've received some kind of assistance and help. You know,
Right.
so I just don't think it's fair that they just have such strong values and call themselves Christians. Upstanding Christians. I just can't get with that.
So then let me ask you this, bro. Is because I kind of wanted to shoot you some questions off of like how we got to being frat, how we got to being fraternity brothers.
Oh yeah,
Again, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, first established Best Design, the
every
oldest and
time.
coldest fraternity,
Long live AZ.
incorporated, the first Black fraternity incorporated. We will bring history into this podcast as well, but
Absolutely.
like you chose, like you could say I chose Alpha because X, Y, and Z, and I can
Hmm.
say I chose Alpha because X, Y, and Z, and it could be two different things, but it comes to the same point. I
Right.
I think I'm a Democrat. I just don't know that I'm a Democrat. How did you know you was a Democrat? How did you come to the realization, and how many years or months, years did it take for you to realize like, yo, I'm really a Democrat? Like, how do you coach somebody if you do to become a
Hmm.
Democrat?
I think it's political socialization, which is really just talking about
Oh,
values
say that
around another
again.
person.
That was say that again. You said what?
Political socialization.
Okay.
And that's what I just think it is. I think it's just a matter of talking to people. What is around you? How do the people feel around you when you're growing up, right? Like kids are taught everything, right? They absorb what they see. They're a sponge.
Hmm.
And I know coming up, my mother was a Democrat, staunch Democrat. Never vote Republican. Every time I'm gonna go in there, she gonna support the Dem ticket. She just talked to me about the values. I think the furthest one I can remember, I think it was like it was Bush. Was it Bush? It was no, it was before Bush carried. I think it was
Was it
Gore.
Bush? Was Gore before that?
I think so. Yep.
Because I started looking.
And
That's when I really got tapped in. I don't. I
yeah,
remember
my
Gore.
my mom was watching it, and we were watching the debate, and they had the red R up there and the blue D up there, and my favorite color is red.
Yeah, my
So
favorite color blue.
you see what I'm saying?
yeah,
so
yeah,
I see the
that's
I see the
crazy.
R, I see the D up there, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
oh, I think the R is cool, right? And my mom was never like, she never like forced me to be a Democrat. She never hit me on the hand for seeing the R and being like, oh, and my favorite color is red. She never took the child away from me.
Hmm.
She allowed me to develop my own idea and told me what both stood for, right? And I was always good in school at history, social studies, civics, and stuff like that. So like, it wasn't like I just heard what she said and just was like, okay,
Hmm.
like, all right, I'm just listening to mom. It was like, nah, I took a keen interest in this topic and researched and studied and understood what it meant
Hmm.
and really made a decision then and was like, you know what, wow, I do align as a Democrat because I do believe in X, Y, and Z. I do believe in this. I do believe in that. The conservative approach just wasn't it. And I know, to touch on one thing, there are some Republicans back home now in my small town as well, not small town, city wise, in downtown Southern Suffolk, right?
Hmm.
That's the large black population of Suffolk. There are black Republicans back home.
Hmm.
So I want to be clear. It was never just like, okay, this is all Democrats. While my precinct and my home precinct back there is blue, deep blue precinct, it was never just that when you get out in the community and see people, right?
Hmm.
You could see people and they'd be like, oh, yeah, they're Republicans. Okay, they're Democrats. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's kind of how it was. Now, I'm sure now, though, growing up there might be a little different because you got your Trump supporters. Trump has brought out a different extreme side to the Republican Party, or
Yeah, whole
really
different.
major, or just expose who people are.
People are.
It's
I
not
think
like he
that
came,
that's where it
yeah,
hits home for me. Yeah.
right. So it's those kind of things that went on, that may go on that I'm not really privy to, because
Gotcha.
I don't live there. But yeah, man, like I decided when I read the values and listened to my mom, seeing what my mom supported, that's what I wanted. And
Right.
we're not like the biggest like we're involved because we vote, but we don't attend rallies and events.
Okay.
So it's not like I was always forced onto the scene. My mom knew we vote in June for local elections and well, at the time it was local elections. It's November now. Local elections in June. primaries in June or May, April, depends on locality. And then November, you vote. Everybody votes election day. So
So then, and you just brought up another point with another question. So like another thing I wanted to touch on is this whole primary elections and general elections thing, because again, I'm not as educated as probably as you, as definitely you are, or the next person. Like, how important are these elections, these small general and primary elections? Because a lot of people, I think, see just the overarching surface of the presidential elections, but these local elections and primary elections probably, in if if there's a number, then please share, mean more, if not more, than the presidential election. So like for the average Joe like myself, that's like, I don't really, I mean, I hear about it, but it's like, if I'm supposed to be at the mall, I'm not going to run to the voting booth to go to a general election. How important is it to vote in your area as far as the primary and general, and define what they mean for, I guess, the overarching the presidential election?
So your primary, everyone has a primary, right? State house has a primary. Your local levels may have a primary. Depends on your locality. Depends on your state, right? It's like primaries are necessary because that determines who's on the ballot for November. So let me give you an example. You say you're a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. We both live in Virginia Beach. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you are north up there in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are both on the ballot. We're the only Democrats on the ballot for June. They're determining which one of us is the better representation for November to go
Okay.
on and fight for this district. So if let's say that I'm the real political person, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
as far as I manage campaigns, have done all this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a coach in the local area, right? Everybody knows you. The kids know you. Everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My qualifications on paper look like I'm more astute because I've worked in the state legislature before, right?
Right.
Well, if everyone who believes I'm good doesn't come out for me in June, and all the parents in the community know Coach Benny and come out and vote for Coach Benny wins and goes to represent us in November, and I go home.
Right.
So your primary determines who you think may be the best and most qualified. It's necessary to go vote. President Biden did not get to be the Democrat in November just by putting his name on the ballot. He had to fight all these other people on the ballot. Marianne Williams, remember Klobuchar was up there. Like all these different people were fighting in the primary to go on to be the Democratic nominee for president. So you gotta vote in your primaries, or anybody could just win. The people that go vote in local elections is smaller to presidential elections. Like a presidential year, everybody's gonna go vote because you got to think. I'm getting you a little campaign knowledge now. When they do these presidential campaigns, you see these commercials on TV all the time, right?
All the time, ads, everything.
Everything outside of a presidential year, you see them, but you're like, oh, it's election. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
presidential ad lets you know, like, oh no, this is an election, or a governor's
Mm-hmm.
race lets you know, like, oh, somebody's running this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't go in those 2 years, man, you don't know you have an election. In Virginia, we have an election every year, every June, every November, we have an election.
Mm-hmm.
So if you only turn it out in the presidential years because you see Biden commercials or the news is covering federal government so hard, since it affects everyone, like kind of like the state level, right? The federal
Mm-hmm.
government, they're passing federal laws, not just laws for Newark. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So the federal government gets a much wider grab
Mm-hmm.
on the news. Whereas no one's telling you what Luis did, like I just told you what Senator Lucas just did, passing teacher pay. That's not being recognized up there. So like people only vote in presidential years when we need to pay attention to when our elections are and vote every year that we can. So we can determine who is best to see fit.
Right. And I'm only saying that because like I'm not gonna be like, just like to me with Christianity, I'm not gonna be an ignorant Christian and
Yeah.
say that I read the Bible every night. I pray, I'm doing everything. Like I sin, just like most people in America. I don't pay attention to politics, but I only pay attention when it comes down to the presidential election. And I say this based off of what you said, is like, I think it's media driven. I think it's, and this is just my opinion, it's media driven when it comes to politics. They push out what they want to push out. And I think it's that whole, or we're just going to just promote these ads and put out this stuff to try to make somebody look bad, to gain that exposure, to gain that vote, whether it's to the right or to the left.
Right.
Now, when it comes to, first of all, the credentials to be a president, I thought this was crazy. You have to be 35 years old, be a U.S. citizen, spent the last 14 years in the U.S. You can still run for president with a felony. I did not know that. Like that blew
Absolutely.
my mind. Thinking now with
Absolutely.
the whole Trump situation. To that, you say what?
Absolutely, man. I mean, you can run with the felony. But here's the other thing, though, right? Like what you just said are requirements to get on the ballot, right? That's just to get on the ballot.
Right.
You have to be that age and be able to, like, for example, let me take you somewhere to the local government, or here in Virginia, or state government. I'm sorry. You have your credentials to get on the ballot, but you have to petition to get on the ballot. So I have to take, I think in the state senate, you need to get 250 petitions from people who live within the jurisdiction to get on the
Mm-hmm.
ballot. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? It's not
Okay.
like, okay, because I fit this qualification, I automatically get on the ballot.
Right.
There are steps. You have to pay a fee to be able to run. You have to get the petitions to run. You got to set up campaign committees to run.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just cut and dry like that.
Yeah, I feel you. I just when I heard because I was listening again to the pods with them and they was talking about Trump and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
he's literally. I think it's a smoke screen and I don't know how deep we can go into it, but I think it's a political smoke screen. With all this stuff going on with him and what he's been indicted for. But we can get into that or another subject on a different day. But I wanted to jump back to you because I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about some current events because you know how we get down with the current events. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
you
let's
know,
go.
you know. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the things that Ichiban made sure of. Shout out to Ichiban. He was gonna make
Shout
sure we
out
had
Big
them
Brother
current.
Ichiban.
We gonna have them current events.
Deja vu.
Um, so I want to ask you about the whole affirmative action thing. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about how your the person that you're the chief of staff for is big on
Mm-hmm.
education in school.
Right.
There was just a law passed that basically took that away for schools and these colleges. As
Mm-hmm.
far as being race related, that it doesn't play a part in getting people enrolled in school. Hearing
Right.
that, I mean, in my opinion, I ain't gonna lie. I'm just gonna be honest. This is an honest podcast. I felt like that was a very conservative move.
It
Um,
was. It absolutely was. And sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I just got to make sure
it's
my
all
my
good. I
office was
just
straight.
no, it's all good, bro. I just think it was a very conservative move.
It
Um,
was.
to that you say like hearing that, especially in those war rooms that you guys are in. What was your thought process when all that happened, and how does it affect us as the liberals? How does it affect us?
To be honest with you, bro, it was asinine if I could say it like that. Uh, is for me, and I don't like to point the finger too much, but like I feel like I have to say this. For Clarence Thomas, a black man who went to a white school, a Ivy League school, a PWI institution, for someone like that to make that vote to discriminate or to allow some form of discrimination in schools is asinine. It's ridiculous, and I'm gonna just keep it a bean with you, like I always do. Is very Uncle Ruckus. There are many people, and you've seen a bunch of celebrities come out and talk about this, right? How affirmative action was something that allowed them to get into Yale, allowed them to get into Harvard. They felt like schools came and looked for them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
gave them an opportunity. Like, hey, look, we're recruiting at the University of Iowa. We're taking students at the University of Iowa. You should apply. You should check this out. And they
Mm-hmm.
received an opportunity into these white institutions. So I think it's an asinine decision. While I graduated from both of us graduated from HBCU. I love my HBCUs, no matter what.
Right.
But there are some people who didn't take the HBCU route, and that doesn't make them any less of a person of
Right.
color.
And they're really never the first choice unless you're like generation then.
Absolutely,
Unless you're
absolutely.
yeah, they're never the first choice. And then also the whole Supreme Court deal with the Joe Biden loan forgiveness. I mean, look, that to me that
Man,
hit, and I can see your reaction. That hit just as hard with the affirmative action because like that's one of the things. Now to me, I don't, and I want you to break this down from a political standpoint too because I don't feel like student loans affect us as much from a credit standpoint. I think we're watching. I think we're looking at it from where our people, the people that came before us, how student loans may have affected them because how much more of a burden it is now with interest rates going up, with
yeah.
things like inflation. But they, to me, it doesn't affect. Like I got 100K in student loans. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I got 2 degrees, 100K in student loans. If
Mm-hmm.
I pay these credit cards and my utilization goes down, my credit score is going through the roof. Like,
Right.
so the student loan doesn't really do nothing for me. But from that standpoint, I do think that there was again another conservative effort in that, and they said it. I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
quoted that the Republicans felt like they were overstepping their boundaries and overstepping authority. It was something crazy I read. So from you again, from that standpoint, break it down exactly what that means from your side, being a liberal, being a Democrat. How does that that decision affect the people coming after us?
Okay. And again, I'm gonna give you my personal opinion. I'm not speaking for my office or for anybody else. It's my personal opinion.
Yeah, keep it a bean.
I think I genuinely believe that it hurts us. It sets us back because while we may feel right now, so like you just said, like it doesn't really affect us. It affected the people before us worse, right?
Right.
And I could see how that could be an approach because of it was their time and like they had the recession and everything going on at the same time. There was no COVID.
Mm-hmm.
While I think it's different because for the past few years there has been a suspension on student loan payments. So we really haven't had to deal with it, even though we're never going to be fully normal. And well, I feel like as a society, we're never going to be fully back to recovering from this pre-COVID era.
Mm-hmm.
Like hours are going to stay the same. People, businesses still suffer currently because of COVID. There are a lot of people who don't feel comfortable going outside, who don't feel comfortable doing anything. Um, but I do feel like COVID plays a large role in that. And now that it's like a big, real talking point for people in politics to put on the front row. Years ago, they would have never talked about giving student relief, right? Like real, they would have considered that a far left approach. Now we're actually bringing this to the front. We're putting it on websites. We're putting ads up. We're talking about this. We're educating people on what this student loan program really is. I just feel like it affects us and it's going to be a debt. I mean, a debt over their head. But my cousin told me this when I was doing it, right? When I graduated and was worried about going to pay student loans, which is something that you really don't hear about no more because we are on student suspension from payments.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin told me, I said, man, I had a lump sum of money and I had like one loan that was like, I'm gonna give you a number just like, let's just say it was $1,000, right? And I was like, I'm just gonna pay off that little loan, that the lowest loan I got, because they'll be like $4,300, etc. So I'm gonna pay this one off and just pay my loan off. And he was like, man, look, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you to not pay that loan off if you want to, but that's good. That's good debt. Like that's all right for your credit. That shows you have some debt. It was for education. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I was taught about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like while I did submit my application to get my loans forgiven, and I
I did
understand
too.
that,
Yeah.
and what we gotta understand is this is what some people be upset about. It never said it was gonna forgive all your debt.
It
It
was
said it
only
was gonna forgive.
20K.
It was gonna forgive not even 20K. It was gonna forgive something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna get some kind of
Yeah,
forgiveness.
right, right,
That's the
right.
key that people need to understand about it. People are
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
yeah, I look back, oh yeah, I'm down $2,000, but well, yeah, they
yeah.
said they was gonna give you some kind of
Something. Yeah,
forgiveness.
you're right.
You
That
know,
2000 helped you out. It helped you out.
you feel
Yeah,
me? I'll take
yeah,
2 racks off mine.
yeah.
Mine ain't as bad as everybody else's because I still
Man,
got my
mine is
bachelor and
terrible.
all
Mine
that.
bad. Yeah, mine's
And
bad.
and see, hold on, let me to touch on a point real quick. I'm gonna touch on a sensitive topic for you.
Yeah,
Because I like to get messy. It might
for
be
sure.
harsh. Our scholarships was different than y'all scholarships when we came in. My class
Facts.
was
Yeah.
like I ain't gonna say what people deserve and didn't deserve, but I will say we know some people that used to do things. I'm gonna keep it a being used to kick the ball, had a better scholarship than a lot of people,
Oh
old
yeah,
heads
for
who
sure.
needed, who I felt deserved the
For
scholarship.
sure. Oh, for
You in
sure.
particular,
Oh, for
Spilly.
sure. Yeah, no, I
So
knew all your paperwork when y'all walked in. I'm looking like these
hey,
motherfuckers rich. What the
hey,
yo
people coming in line on their scholarship talking about, man, yeah, I got 90%,
man?
bro. You got 42, bro.
Man, we used to be in the cab talking sidebar. We used to be in the cab talking. I used to be like, yo, how much they cut you for? Man, be like, 9 racks. I got this. I got a refund coming. I'm like, what? And I'm looking at you
Yeah,
like, bro, you will never play it down.
bro.
Like,
Let me
get
tell
out of
you.
here, man. But
Let me
that's
tell
another.
you.
I don't even want to touch on that because you definitely touched the nerve with that because I forgot about that. And I got a couple people right now, Corey Broughton, that I got to holler at you about because you ain't even really like played like that. But you still my dog.
Oh,
But you still my dog. And the other boy, the kicker, yeah, I'm gonna leave y'all alone for the day. But y'all still my homies though. Y'all my
man,
youngins. I mess with y'all. But you're right though. I mean,
it's
it
crazy.
is different, bro. It's just very, it's crazy, man. Like I and that's why I wanted to have you on here, because like I really wanted to hear from a perspective of somebody in the war room. So my last two questions. We're gonna wrap this up, but my first question is gonna be, you got messy. I want to get a little messy, a little controversial, and I'm gonna just ask
Oh,
it flat out.
go ahead. Come on, I'm ready.
Is
I ain't gonna plead the fifth.
is all politics honest politics?
Man, in my personal opinion, again, I do feel like there is honesty in politics. I do. It's dealing with the law a lot. This is
Mm-hmm.
just kind of what I tell people. Read the paper. Read what is given to you. Read the legislation and see what it says. Right. Just because the heading says, you know, expanded Medicaid, right, doesn't mean we expanded it for every single body out here.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an example, right? That's just an example. I'm not saying anything which way. Like, read the legislation and see what it does. And it doesn't also mean you cover every single topic in something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
there are certain issues within Medicaid that you may care about, that you need to see if your legislator can get this through to help you and help other people. Because not what I've learned is that everybody has a problem, and a lot of people feel the same way. But a lot of people just don't know that you can speak up and tell your elected official what the problem is. Constituent service is key, because we get issues every day, from people will reach out. They don't understand different levels of government, which is fine, because your elected official should lead you to the person that needs to be done. For example, let's say you live in Virginia, you need your passport expedited, like because you can do that.
Right.
You need that done. You're not getting any callbacks from whatever department you need to call. No one is responding. You can't figure out what to do. The website's not working. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean give up.
Right.
Contact your elected official. You should contact your federal official. That's a federal issue. But if you contact your state senator, that's fine. We'll let you know that's not within our power. But we gonna email this chain up and tell you that, hey, you need to talk to Congressman Scott, and Congressman Scott's office can take care of that. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
like, it's understanding. You need to understand, that you can go to your elected official. It bother them. They annoy you for a vote with all these text messages and emails and TV ads and all that. If they can
Yeah.
annoy you with all that to get your vote to be there, why can't you annoy them about an issue you have until it's getting fixed?
Amen. I feel that. That's deep. Yeah, that's fact. I ain't got nothing. That's facts. They put out all these ads. They should be able to pick up that phone and answer that call. That's why I wanted to ask you, because it's
I'm
like I
telling
see all these ads and I'm like, is this all real? Like, because a lot of stuff can be politically driven. But the second question I have for you too is, how divided, like from just being in this space, how divided are we as a society? Like, we define it as left and right, we define it as Republican, Democrat. I think it's deeper. Like, how divided are we as a society? Are we as divided as we think we are? We feel we are? Is it worse? Is it better? Is it not as bad? What is it from your standpoint?
in my personal opinion, man, I really, to be completely honest with you, I really don't even have an answer for that.
Mm,
I don't have a yes and I don't have a no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe there's good people out here, and good things are always here. Like, it's I think people need to sit down and like listen to the other person. Like, we get so personal these days and only thinking that we the only people that have problems, right? Like, I feel like sometimes we need to open up and listen to the next person and hear what they got going on. Like, after COVID, man, I really do feel like a lot of people are going through the same thing. A lot of people are still depressed. A lot of people are still hurt because they lost loved ones. A lot of people are like really trying to hang on right
mm,
now. And I think a lot of people are taking a lot of things personal. We need to just, like I said, I don't repeat myself, but like, we really just need to take a time to listen to each other. I don't think we as divided, you know, as people assume, but we could do a lot more work to like, get together and come together.
for sure. I mean, listen, man, I definitely feel like this has been good for me. It's been informative for me. Hopefully, it'll be informative. I know
Oh,
it's gonna be informative for a lot of people. Go ahead. What you about to say?
I got a question.
What's up?
What made you get into doing podcasts?
Uh, oh, we doing that? Okay.
I'm just
Um,
curious. I gotta ask the people when they saw me post it, they sent me the DMs and it was the question. So
Yeah.
I'ma
I
ask.
mean, so look, I mean, it was simple for me, man. Like I don't have a big circle. I just circle meaning like I don't have just friends that I hang out with on the regular. And the thing about
Hmm.
me, there's two things about me. I'm a great talker, and I have a my mind's always moving. It's always running. I'm always thinking of things, good, bad, and different ways to get better. So what I did was, I just said, look, I mean, I got all this information and energy. I don't have no kids to give it to, so I got to give it to somebody. You know,
Hmm.
I see podcasters out here. Everybody got one. Put their own spin on it. Why not me? And that's kind of how it
Right.
all took off. And I'm like, well, you know what? It started as a little sports podcast when I was getting, the players on, former players that I coached and played with.
Mm.
And then it was like, so much information out here that and it's people to connect with that know so much that it don't take a blue check for me to have to get in touch with them. Like I shouldn't have to
Yeah.
be interviewing everybody that has a blue check. You're a chief of staff. You're very high in the electoral category when it comes as far as like being in a seat with a Democratic Party. What makes such and such that's out here whatever with Biden better than you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like that's kind of why that's my approach. That's my philosophy on this whole thing. Um, and that's why I did it the way I did it. And I just been like, I've been here ever since, almost a year
So so you what it sounds to me was like, you found something that you could use your skills for.
for sure,
You could use your skills, your skills and your knowledge to do,
for
right?
sure,
And it's something that you became passionate about. So you know how you just said you basically found what you really said, and what I heard was you found your gift, right? And you
for
found your
sure,
talents, and you use your talents to create this and your
for
knowledge.
sure.
It's the same thing with politics for me. So I've always been a popular guy. Everybody know Bujo. I done kicked with a lot of people. I done fellowship with bros. I done did all that and be cool. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
ain't coming there like I was better than nobody and try to play nobody. And even if there were attempts to assassinate my character, I never let that change me from who I am. It was the
Mm-hmm.
same thing for politics, man. Like you in politics, you talk to people all day. You hang with people. You know what I'm saying? You go meet people, but it's really just a verbal communication thing. Like it's a way to talk to people, and I care about people,
Right.
and I look out for people that's close to me. So I was able to look out for people in my home area now that I've taken this job. I can respond back to their concerns or tell them how to get things done. My constituent service path. So in a way, I did the same thing with politics. I found the people skills. I used to play quarterback, so I know how to lead people. The people skills, the leadership skills, everything I've developed over time and put it into one. And you don't know it, or you just haven't realized it. You've been a politician all your life. So you know how. So let me give you an example. Have you ever had to like talk to your teacher to get your grade right, to get a
Hell
grade
yeah,
up?
I had to do that with Coach Porter to get these letters I got.
So you feel me?
Absolute.
So
Yeah.
so you have had to persuade people
Yeah.
to vote for you to get into the fraternity, or
For sure.
persuade people to get your vote right. So then let me take you a step further. You ever had to like reach out ever in life, reach out and ask people for some kind of like not saying like to support you for life, but like, hey, can I borrow 15? Can I get $15 to buy? Not saying you need it for this, but example, can I get $15 towards my out the mud turban behind me? I'm
Yeah.
building a
Right.
brand.
Mm-hmm.
I need $15. So you've raised funds for a cause. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You've
Yeah.
campaigned all your life. When you're
Yeah.
getting a job, you have to politic. When it comes to be real, coaches in college or coaches in any sport, in football, basketball, whatever, you politic your way when those scouts
That's
come
the
to see you.
biggest politics, right? Yeah.
You politic with your coach so you can stay on the field and not lose your
Yeah.
scholarship. So, and when you were a kid, you persuaded your mom, I want to do this because I want to go here because I can go see my friends and I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like you've
Right.
always been a politician from day one. No one has just ever showed you how you've done it. So it's something that really any of us, in my personal opinion, any of us could be an elected official, man. You find what you're passionate about, you stand up for it and you lead it. And that's it. And a lot of people close to you really believe the same thing. Birds of a feather flock together, right? A lot of the friends around you believe the same thing or have similar experiences that make y'all believe the same thing. So if you and like these four people that you kick it with got the same belief, you think out of millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people, you think there are people out here who don't feel the same way you feel? I'm just
That's
saying,
heavy.
man.
That's heavy. I ain't even gonna hold you. That's heavy because it's true. It's you
Hmm.
are a product of your environment. but your beliefs. And
Mm-hmm.
like that was actually my ending question. I was going to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
how does somebody get into politics? But you just answered it. One, you got to have a
Man.
belief.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you have to know how to use your beliefs and your resources accordingly. And that's what you're right. I mean, you politic in a lot of things. There's politics in everything, but it's how you sell yourself and the people that you put around you that'll get you to that
Mm-hmm.
ultimate goal. And that, I mean, you answered my last question. I was going to ask you how you get
Conf-
into politics, but you just answered it.
Man,
And I
it's
and I and that's I think that's the perfect way to end this, is that the fact that you actually, no, I'm gonna end it on this. What is, so it'll be 10 years in politics in 2020. You said 2026.
mm-hmm.
5 years plan. Like, what are we looking at? Are we looking potential presidential race? Are we looking,
Man.
potential? We're going national now. Like, are you running for the
Nah,
president? Are you running for the presidential race in 2032? I'm telling you, I can got
nah,
my vote
nah,
right
nah.
now.
I
Like,
appreciate
you
it.
feel me? Like, oh, you gotta be 35 years old, so you still got a little ways. When you
Yeah,
get
I got some
35,
time.
I'm gonna be right there. I'm gonna be right on the front line voting for you. You know what I'm saying? Off
Man,
rip. I don't care who you're running against. Like, what's the 5 to 7 year plan for William Boo Joe Smith? What's that plan look like?
man, to be completely honest with you, man, I really don't know. And I'll tell you this, like, in this field, you know, they said it was the white man's game. That's what really intrigued me to get into it. They said it's the white man's game and this ain't no field for black folks. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna show you. And I rose to the ladder pretty quick, through the ladder pretty quick. Um, but you really need a mentor and a guide in this field because like campaign and legislative work don't go together at all. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
So like my mentor was campaign. He was not the legislative side. He may have had some connections on the legislative side, but it really didn't fester to bring me on that side.
Right.
One of my best friends that I met at beach weekend, to be honest with you, I mean, real cool. Shout out to Bree. Is actually a person that put me on to politics. She knew a delegate very well, and the delegate reached out to her and said she needed some black folks, to come intern, want to get black folks into the General Assembly, and she's now a state senator. Get people in there, and she reached out to me. So to be completely honest with you, man, I was on the campaign route until someone that I met through a mutual friend, and we ended up becoming cool. Someone I met through a mutual friend is really what put me on.
Mm.
Like it was cool like that. Um, but yeah, man, like anybody can do this, dog. For
Yeah.
real, for real.
Well,
It takes confidence and it takes belief. You got to believe in yourself, man. And for me, and finally to answer your question, my fault. My plan, I really don't have a plan, and I've kind of just trusted the blueprint, right?
mm-hmm.
I believe God and created the blueprint already for me. It's already designed, it's already there. And
Right.
instead of me sitting here trying to like fight and change and do all this other stuff, I'm kind of just riding the ride, man.
Yeah.
I've been blessed so far to be in these kind of opportunities at a young age. And, I'm grateful for it, man. And it's allowing me to take care of myself, take care of family. It's allowing me to do all that and still be able to talk to my friends, connect with my friends, and
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll say this, bro. Like you said, the only thing I'm gonna disagree with you with tonight as we close is you said that anybody can do this. I don't believe that. I think nobody, just like everybody can't play football, just like everybody can't walk them burning sands for real though. Like this is where I
that's a
give
good point.
this is where I give my flowers to people like you that come on here. First of all, you didn't have to do this. I appreciate you for doing this. Again, follow him on all platforms, William Bujo. You know what I'm saying, for the Instagram. Make sure y'all. I'm gonna put it in the caption when we drop the video in the pod. But the only thing I'm gonna disagree with you, bro, is not everybody can do this. Not everybody can come from where you came from, to learn the things that you had to learn at a very young age, to go through 4 years of playing college ball, to give up something that you probably as a childhood dreamed about doing, to pursue another
Mm-hmm.
career, to stand on that career and go through the ranks that you went through as an African American through COVID. We didn't even touch on that, but just through COVID, all the political, backlash that you probably faced in your time being a professional, to be able to walk them burning sands while still in school, to be able to do it as a solo, to be able to, obviously grow into being a family man, and to stand on your principles. Not everybody can do that. So that's the only thing I'm gonna disagree with you on, is that not everybody can do that, and you're a 1%er, bro. And I'm just super proud of everything that you've accomplished. If I've never told you before, the only thing I ever regret in my life, there's a few things I regret in my life. I'm gonna tell you this for the first time on the pod, on the live. The very first thing, one of the hard things on my list that I regret is not being there for you in 2015. I still hold on to that to this day, because I know how much it would have meant for you, for me to be there, and it hurt me that I couldn't be there. But I know that you was gonna be great even before that, and you've you've outmatched all the expectations I had for you. You don't know how much you really mean to people like myself, and yeah, man, you doing your thing, and regardless of what you want to do, you know I'm gonna support it. I'll be right there on the front line with you, campaigning heavy. You know what I'm saying? You can throw all the little Democratic single shorties at me. I'm gonna be right there with them, and we're gonna be rocking out for Bujo. I'm gonna have a picket sign and all that. I'm gonna wear the flag on the back of my car. You know what I'm saying? And I just salute you, man. Like, you really are a one on one, bro. And I'm just glad that I could call you Frat. I'm glad that I could call you my brother and a friend at the end of the day.
Man,
So I salute you, King, and you know you always got
man,
love with me.
thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I do want to say two things real quick. I don't want to take the podcast too long. I done took up enough of your time.
You good?
But it's two things I want to say, man. One, the 2015 on the podcast for everybody. The
Yeah.
2015 thing, man, was understood because at the end of the day, you was getting your degree and you was making your moves.
Mm.
That's just what it is. You know, everybody always said, and you know how this go. You know, I five for the non-hazing organization, everybody. So please don't think
We're
that
not.
there was any
Yeah,
hazing
absolutely.
going on. Now, I will say when I wanted to, when I was aspirant of Alpha, and I was going to practice, right? I was sneaking and getting the 9, right, and wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
Spilly, shout out to Spill. Spilly called me out in front of everybody and said, "Yo, he only got that 9 because he want to be like Benny. And that's all.
What
That's
was
the only
this?
reason." Man, this was spring ball, and I had switched the receiver from corner.
Okay.
I was at receiver and I was throwing the 9 on because at a certain point they don't care about what jerseys you got on no
Yeah.
more. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
I took off the 18. I think I threw it back in the bin and I grabbed the 9. I was rocking the 9 in practice at receiver at X.
Damn.
Talking cash. Josh could tell you, man. You know who you need to get up here?
True.
Janique. You need to get
Oh, that's my.
Janique, man.
Oh, what?
Janique,
Janique support the brand.
man, Janique is the coolest dude I
Cool.
ever met, bruh. And Janique
Absolutely.
is the realest dude. Janique, I've never heard Janique lie. He told the truth. Remember we
Mm-hmm.
came in, then I'm gonna let you wrap it up. Remember we came in and I had just switched receiver, like right after
Mm-hmm.
you left. Well, I switched like the week of the last game against
Yeah.
Glenville, and
Yeah.
then spring ball I went full on receiver. And we in spring ball. Janique see me coming there, right? He said, "Oh, Uj, you really gonna play receiver? I fuck with you, bro." He dapped me up.
He
Woo.
definitely
So
said.
left. Then I said, because I always ask the old heads, I said, "Yo, who was?" Because I wanted 11, but Q ended up getting 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got 18, and I was like, "Yo, who used to wear 18?" And everybody would always be like, "Yo, he was an athletic dude. He could throw, he could catch." I can't even remember his name,
Ballhead. Josh
but he was.
Johnson.
That's what it was. They
That
said
was
he
my
was some
OG.
kind of athletic cat.
Yeah, he was all right.
So
Shout out to boy. Yeah.
man, we out there at practice, man. It's Janique last practice, man. See, that's why I don't need to be up here telling these stories. So it was the last practice.
Yeah.
And we had got a new coach. I ain't gonna name drop him because he's still doing his thing, but a new coach that came on.
Yeah.
And they won't giving Janique that respect, man. Like as the senior receiver, like as a dude that's really like that. Janique was in the slot, he was outside as a dude who was really balling, man. They didn't
Yeah.
give him the respect that he deserved. But the team did. The
Mm-hmm.
receiving core did. No one had. If you had beef with Janique, you just, bro, nah,
Yeah,
don't
like
even come to practice.
yeah.
So,
That was one person you should not be having beef with.
man, coach came up. Coach came back to Neek and said something disrespectful to Neek. And Neek calm, man. Neek ain't gonna raise his voice, bro.
I think I
Neek
remember
said,
this story.
Neek said, "Hey, bro, what you say to me?" He
That's
said,
insane.
he said something. You know what I'm saying? Neek said, "Hey, bro, what? Man, no, man. No, man.
Yo, I
He said, bro,
remember this story.
man, look, hey, Neek, I know you're going to see this and I ain't going to say everything, but I just want y'all to know Janique has never changed,
Oh
man. That
man.
is a
Oh, absolutely
thorough
not.
dude. He stand on what he said. He said, man, what? Man, what? He said, no, man, y'all ain't give me the respect I deserve. What? Man,
Yo,
man, hey, that's the only time I seen Neek turn up. I done seen Neek in a hot
man,
party,
yo,
bro, and ain't nobody make Neek mad. Stepped on his shoes. Neek was like, Neek was a clean dude.
yeah, super
So,
clean. Yeah,
but man, look,
shout
let
out
me
to
be
Jimmy,
quiet because
man.
I'm about to bring up all the football stories. See, I don't want to
Yo,
take it too
listen,
long
nah,
for
we
you.
could we could go another hour with this, yo. I don't, I mean, but yo, you
Man,
funny because Janique really, dude, solid dude. I think I like. I met a lot of cats and teammates. He's literally one like top three, like best teammates, high school and college. So everything you said about him,
man.
much like I could double down. He's
Wait,
definitely like,
high school?
yeah, high school. I mean, even high school, like
Y'all,
we didn't go to
y'all
the same
play,
high school. No, we didn't go to
but
the same high
y'all
school.
played.
I'm saying if I had to go and just put all my teammates in a bundle and pick out like my best teammates, Janique would
Yeah.
be in the top three.
Oh, for sure.
That's how thorough he is. But beyond football, like life, being a
For
brother,
sure.
like Janique would like I could be in Philly. Janique would still be in West Virginia. I called Janique. He would come to Philly and be there
Every
for me if
time.
I needed him. That's how real he is,
Every
man.
time.
That's how real he
Man,
is. But man, I got to get out of here, man. We got to get up
yeah.
off this because we're gonna go a whole nother hour with this,
Yeah,
man. Listen,
man. Go ahead.
like I said before, OTM Coach B, you know what I'm saying? And again, this is for all the people that need that information. Shout out to you, William Bujo. We're going to put this joint up. I hope y'all take everything that we discussed today, you know, take it internally, use it externally, pay it forward, man. So you know what it is. Any
Absolutely.
last words, my brother, before we close this thing out?
Man, look, I need an OTM shirt or something. I
Oh,
need
that's
to let me know
coming.
how I can write a check. Let me know how I can support. Let me know what I
You
can do
had
for
my brother.
OTM, man, because this is a good platform. We need this as black men, black women. We need this. This is a black owned black business that does not discriminate
Yeah.
and that can be honest. I mean, dude, everything about this was thorough. Everything about the setup was thorough. Man, I appreciate you for allowing me to come up here. Anytime you need me to come up here, on the record, anytime you need me to come up here, you need me to support, or you need me to do anything, you don't hesitate to reach out. I'll take care of it.
I appreciate you, my brother. I already know when it always comes back, man. Always love you, bro. You already know that, man.
For
OTM
sure.
Coach B, man. We are out of this joint again.